So you want to be an energy worker. My name is Paul Rice and I'll help you get there. Today I'll be talking about moving your mind. Where is your mind at? So are you up here or here? Most Westerners, you're behind your eyes. In fact, you're just kind of in a recliner, just lazing there. That's all the only place you've ever been, just watching the world go by, never getting off the recliner, handing down orders to your body. So I'm going to ask you to move your mind. And all I'm going to do is ask you to move 1 inch lower. So get off the recliner, just move 1 inch lower. And most people don't seem to have a problem with this. It's quite easy. So let's make it 2 inches. So move your mind 2 inches lower. This would place your mind at the back of your throat. So notice if you are aware of the back of your throat. Congratulations, you just moved your mind. So now let's move your mind even lower. Now, one time I did this with a co-worker. She was moving her mind lower and got sidetracked. Her mind went to her lungs and she didn't like what the lungs were telling her because she was a smoker. They did not want her to continue to smoke, and she said she was never ever going to do that again. So that might happen, but you can move your mind to anywhere in your body, and being an energy worker you can move it outside, but that's something else. So you can move it to so pick a location you'd like your mind to move to and go visit. Now, this spot may be a troublesome spot for you, it may be in pain, you may be curious about it, whatever. Generally, when you move your mind and you talk with that local area, it's not used to having the mind, which is up in an ivory tower, handing down orders, actually coming down to the work floor and having a conversation and actually, proving that you're listening. So that body part may hesitate, maybe take a little while to kind of warm up to having the mind right there. So it's just like a conversation. You're listening to a body part. It may have issues, and so hopefully you're listening to it and can give some feedback and say, hey, this is, I need to do something about this. Let's work on this. So now that body part's not alone. It has the mind agreeing with it and saying, let's work on this. You might visit a body part that has been rejected by the mind because it just always gave painful messages. So that is still part of you. It's very much aware and alive and a kind of separate you with just a limited focus. It's just aware of that body part and all the pain, suffering, etc. So it tends to be more intense and conversations more intense too. So if you had chose to visit such a body part, you may find the first thing that pops up is anger. Anger because this body part got rejected by the rest of you, by the mind. And there may be multiple angers in there. So it may take a while of listening, being a bit humble, until you get through those angers down to pain. And so now you're way more aware of the pain that this body part has been going through on its own. So you experience this pain, you're not shutting it off any longer. Maybe now you're a bit wiser, more mature, you know more people, you can find out more information, you can do something about it. underneath this layer is memory, the incident that caused it. So you'll be remembering that incident, what went on there. And underneath that will be what this body part wants you to do, the actions it wants you to do to alleviate the pain. And if you follow directions, you can help this body, because this body part knows exactly what needs to be done. So it's well worth doing. The longer you've rejected them, the longer you've been in pain, the more layers it is. So don't hesitate to do this. If it's a recent issue, you won't have to deal with anger or stuff like that. You just get down to memory, action, and you can think about what to do. So pretty much, you let the mind wander, you become aware of it. If the body part is not separate, you just become aware of that area in greater detail. And that can just enhance your understanding of your body, of how an organ works, whatever it is. Now, what if you tap into pain and you can't get rid of it? You've opened up the door to the pain that this body part's suffering, and now you can't get rid of it. Well, you can. You're an energy worker. Imagine there's a door in your body adjacent to where you're hurting, and you open the door and tell it, out, leave me, get out, go, push, and you can push that pain out of your body. A fun technique is to move that pain up to the back of your throat and cough it out. Get it in your hands, put it in the trash, wash your hands. That's another way to get rid of it. Talking to it. Sometimes if I'm working with a client and I picked up somebody else's pain, then I'll say, you're not my pain, leave me, go, out, stuff like that. But in this case, this is your pain. So you can pay attention to it. Sometimes just the action of listening to the pain will reduce it, and so it will slowly go away. When I'm doing this with somebody else, if I pick up their pain, this is how I get rid of it. But I can also pass the message on. Pain is a message. The person's not listening, but they'll listen to me. So I can understand what the message is about, having been there at that moment when it was caused and heard what that body part wants to do, and so I can pass the message on. Now, there was one person I knew was going to reject the message. It had to do with body weight. And this person was not going to give up their poor eating habits. So I talked to the stomach instead and said, look, another body part is hurting. Can you do something so that you restrict, decrease, diet, whatever, without the brain knowing about it? And the stomach says yes, it was willing to do that. Now, what you can do as an energy worker, you can be a bridge if you needed to do that. So by putting your hand over the stomach and whatever the injured body part, and you become a channel, and you'll feel something going through you from the knee to the stomach, from the stomach to you, back and forth. And when that communication ends, it's like they've had a conversation amongst themselves and come to an agreement. So that's another way you can, it's not moving your mind, but it's helping a body part heal itself. So you can go anywhere in your body, really, anywhere. It's quite amazing, all the different awarenesses. One client I had partial red-green color blindness. I thought this would be so neat. So I knew vision was towards the back of the brain. So I tapped in and moved my attention to the back there, and I became aware of their color blindness, how part was used for some other purpose and so what was left over wasn't adequate for the job of sensing redness, so that it could only be aware of intense reds. Anything that was a mild red just came out as a kind of greyish something, not really there. So that was my first introduction to this. But think about it. Anywhere in the brain maps to the body. So I've dealt with clients who have addiction issues, and so there are at least 3 spots in the brain that I can tap into and kind of redirect the energy so it goes somewhere more appropriate, is not locked into a dysfunctional path. And hopefully that will be sufficient as they reroute it and form newer paths, newer messages, so that they tend to go the new path and not the dysfunctional old path. It's a challenge, because you're working with somebody's mind, their whole being, and trying to redirect their energy. So, but anyway, you can do this. You can tap into addiction, anything you want. So it's a playground. Try moving your mind. Thank you.